Hi guys, it's Sunny. I'm back. So if you missed the first part, this is a part 2 video on how you can prepare for your first ballroom dance competition. So if you missed that first part, I will include a link in the description below. So once you pick the competition that you're going to first participate in, and your teacher can help you decide which one that will be, you need to check the schedule of that comp just to make sure that you actually can show up and compete on the days and times of your heat. Usually the events run over multiple days. So for example, on Saturday, they might have the Pro-Am, Latin and smooth. And on Sunday, they might run all of the standard and rhythm events. So you'll want to check that schedule, which will be on the website of that particular competition, okay? When you enter the competition, your pro might handle this for you, but probably not. Either way, it's fine. Go to that website, pick on the competitors link, and then the registration link. That's how it works 99% of the time. So website, competitors, registration. And for your first comp, you'll want to enter the newcomer category. Your pro might already jump in with recommendations for which categories they'd like you to dance in, but if there is a newcomer, I definitely recommend doing that so you're on the floor with other competitors of commensurate skill level. And as mentioned in previous videos, there's also different age divisions. As an adult, you can always compete to a lower age division, but you're not allowed to compete against, say, the adult B, if that's 35 to 50 years old or something, because they want apples and apples on the floor. Athletically, it would not be fair to judge an 18-year-old dancer versus a 70-year-old dancer. So this is for fairness purposes. And the age divisions are pretty self-explanatory on the website, okay? In addition to the newcomer, you might consider doing the bronze. Now, for amateur competitions, you will have newcomer, bronze, silver, gold, etc. You'll want to do newcomer and bronze. Pro-Am is usually divided up into many subcategories, meaning pre-bronze, bronze 1, bronze 2, full bronze, open bronze. And in a nutshell, this enables the teachers to dance with more than one student at a certain skill level, because most of the pros, almost all of them, are going to come there with multiple students, because that saves the students a little bit of money when they get to split the cost of the pros' travel and hotel and stuff, okay? So your pro can walk you through that as well. You'll also want to ask your teacher, if you are doing Pro-Am and not amateur, how much they charge for their Pro-Am fees, just to make sure that that's within your budget before you commit to a bunch of stuff. So once you agree on that price, you'll also, in addition to entering your divisions, you'll want to buy admission tickets to the ballroom for the days and times that your heats are. You can buy those in advance, or those are always available at the door. They will always have cheap standing room tickets, and in the evenings they will have the option of more expensive seats seated next to the floor. I find any of those seats works, but it might be fun for you to splurge and actually sit on the floor in those kind of VIP seats. And those often you will need to reserve in advance. So for your first comp, I recommend competing in as many styles as possible. So if you know at least one dance in each style, rhythm, Latin, smooth, standard, definitely do that. It's just great exposure therapy to work out those nerves. And secondly, you might have a particular talent in one style that you're not going to know until you hit that comp floor. So I think it's great for kind of honing in on what's going to be best for you as well. And you'll see what you most enjoy doing out there, what you're most comfortable doing. Sometimes people think, oh, I would be an excellent Latin dancer. And they get out there in that skimpy costume and they're very self-conscious and like, ooh, I better switch to the ballroom. So no better way to figure that out than to actually do it on the comp floor, okay? Ultimately, it's what your enjoyment is what's going to be the most important. So even if you excel in one style, but you feel awkward out there, definitely go with what brings you the most joy. Next up, you will have to buy a costume in advance. Okay, please do not go buy something off the shelf from Nordstrom or something. It will look weird on the floor. Definitely invest in a costume made for dancing. Now, it does not have to be expensive. It does not have to be fancy. There's lots of cheap stuff available. For example, from danceshopper.com, even practice wear will look great on the floor, especially in those newcomer and bronze categories. The judges are not expecting you to come to the floor with a $5,000 gown. If you want to, that's fine, as long as you're doing pro-am. Now, the amateur divisions do have costume restrictions, so have your pro teach you about that, or email the competition organizer for what those restrictions are, because you don't want to be disqualified. For example, in the amateur divisions, meaning you dancing with an amateur partner, usually things like costume effects are prohibited. So you would get disqualified, for example, even for wearing rhinestone earrings. So check into that before you invest in that costume, okay? Make sure to get that costume in advance, far in advance, because they often don't fit. So you may need to have that tail suit or costume kind of recut or re-sewn at the last minute to best look good on you. You also want to make sure to practice in that costume. For Pete's sake, do not go out on the floor wearing that the first time. I've made that mistake myself. And you don't want to find out in the middle of your first round that you're uncomfortable or it restricts your movement, or it's sagging, your boob's gonna fall out. These are things you'll want to iron out in advance. Plus, ladies, if you're inexperienced, sometimes that big poofy skirt and all that stuff is gonna feel weird between your legs. So definitely acclimate to that, okay? I personally do not risk having my costumes altered by a local tailor. I always give it back to my designer and have them do it, because ballroom costumes are cut and sewn in a very particular way, unique to our industry. I'm not saying don't do it. It's probably cheaper to have it done locally, faster, and if you're in a pickle, do that. But I always send it back to the original designer. Related to this, get your shoes far in advance. I do recommend getting new shoes so that they look all spiffy when you walk on the floor and not threadbare. But you might want to have those shoes custom dyed to match your costume. If you don't want to go through that extra expense, that's fine. You can just wear flesh tone shoes. That is totally acceptable with any costume. And I have heard of people to save money dyeing it on their own. I do not trust my own dyeing skills to subject, $100+ pair of shoes to RIT dye. But, if you're experienced with that, maybe that would work for you too and save you a heck of a lot of money. And at least for your first competition, I do highly recommend having your hair and makeup professionally done. So you can ask your pro for recommendations on that. If they don't know, email the competition organizer, because often they will have vendors there that professionally do your hair and makeup. And the first time out of the shoot, I did my own, and it was a mess. Looking back on it, I didn't know at the time. I thought I looked great, but I didn't know what I was doing. And finally, do not have your hair done in a local beauty salon. They will not know what they're doing either. And later on, I was even at the pre-champ level when I didn't want to do my hair. There was not a professional available to do hair at that comp. I booked at a local beauty salon. Went all the way to Canada with this hair, slept on it overnight in a satin pillowcase to make sure it didn't mess up. And as soon as I walked on that comp round, started flicking my head around in the tango, the whole thing popped out and my hair was going nuts and it was so embarrassing. So don't make that mistake. If you have it professionally, if you can't get a professional to do it, just tie it back slick yourself. That does work, and that's preferable to having it done by a local hairstylist. So finally, that week prior to the comp, eat well, sleep well. Very important. You will not show your best if you show up to that comp in any way sleep deprived. Okay, so, and in a nutshell, a final thing you might think of when you're packing those bags for that comp that week prior, pack a needle and thread, and scissors, maybe Band-Aids, and safety pins. You just never know what's going to go wrong at the last minute. So bring that little emergency bag with you to the comp and bring it to the floor with you that day. You never know what you might need. So I hope that's been helpful. I do have more I want to post on what to do the day of the comp. So I will post another video because yet again, I've gone over my hopefully 10-minute limit. So if you like that, definitely press that thumbs up button. Press that subscribe button. Please, please, please ask questions below. That is so helpful and appreciated because I always want to post information that you will find most helpful. So thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.